Hello guys, welcome to a new video in the Minitab series from Digital Pages. In this video, I will be giving you some insights on basic statistics such as mean, median, mode, range, variance and standard deviation, and some commonly used graphical tools such as Pareto chart, histogram, box plot and scatter plot. I will be taking some simple examples and how to use them in Minitab. Alright, let's jump into some basics of statistics. The central tendency and variability. Central tendency has three measures: mean, median and mode. Variability has range, interquartile range, variance and standard deviation. The study you do on a population is known as descriptive statistics, and the study you do on a sample is known as inferential statistics. Let's look at mean. Mean is also known as average. It is affected by extreme values. I will show you how that works. The mean for a population is known as mu. The formula for population mean is mu is equal to sigma xi divided by capital N, where xi stands for the number of items in the population that you are analyzing and N is the number of items in the population. And for a sample, the mean is known as x bar. X bar is equal to sigma xi divided by small n. Xi again the number of items in the sample that you have selected, and n is the number of items in the sample. So the formula is sum of x1, x2, x3 to xn divided by capital N or small n. A median is the middle value when you put the data in an ascending or descending order. It is not affected by extreme values. You are only considering the value at the center of the data. The disadvantage of median is you do not consider any other values other than that single value at the center. Mode is the most occurring item in the sample or population. For example, if I have a set of values such as 10, 11, 14, 9, 6 and 10, 10 occurred twice, so mode for this particular data set is 10. What is the range? Range is the difference between lowest and highest value. Range, similar to mean, is affected by extreme values or outliers in the data. IQR or interquartile range is equal to Q3 minus Q1, where Q3 represents percentile 75 and Q1 represents percentile 25. It basically eliminates 25% of the data at the beginning and 25% of the data at the end if you place the data in an ascending order. What is the variance? Variance is the average squared deviation about arithmetic mean. The advantage of variance is every value is considered. The formula for a population variance is sigma square is equal to sum of xi minus mu square divided by capital N. A variance for a sample is S square is equal to sigma of xi minus x bar square divided by n minus 1. What is the standard deviation? Standard deviation is represented as sigma, which is nothing but the square root of variance. Variance and standard deviation, every value is considered. The formula for standard deviation for a population is represented as sigma, which is equal to square root of sum of x minus mu square divided by capital N, and for a sample it is represented as S, which is equal to square root of sum of x minus x bar square divided by n minus 1. Alright, so let's look at variance and standard deviation now. Let's start with variance. I have a set of values which is 100, 101, 99, 102, 98 and 100. If I take the average of these values, I am getting it as 100. So I am considering this as a sample, so my x bar is equal to 100. Now if you go back to the variance formula, I have to find out the top part of the formula. So in order to do that, I am going to do some more calculation here. So I am going to first calculate x minus x bar, which is take each value which is the x and minus that from x bar. So 100 minus 100 makes it 0, 101 minus 100 makes it 1. 99 minus 100 makes it minus 1. 102 minus 100 makes it 2. 98 minus 100 makes it minus 2. And 100 minus 100 makes it again 0. If I sum these values, I get it as 100 because there are two negative values which cancels out the other two values, and I'm getting it as 0. So to avoid that, I'm going to square these values, which is x minus x bar square. So my values would become 0, 1, 1, 4, 4, 0. Now if I take a sum of these values, I'm getting something, it is 10. So if I apply this in the formula, variance S square of a sample is equal to sum of x minus x bar square divided by n minus 1. We take n minus 1 here because for a sample we use degrees of freedom. I will probably explain this in some other video in detail, but for now just consider we don't take the number of items here, we just take number of items minus 1. So the first part of the formula we've already calculated, which is 10 divided by n minus 1. So we had 6 values and we deduct 1 from there, we get 5. So 10 by 5 is equal to 2. Now the variance is 2. Now there is one specific issue with this 2. This is not really representing the actual variation in the data set because we have squared these values in the previous calculation. In order to avoid that squaring, we calculate standard deviation. So if you look at the standard deviation formula, it is the square root of variance which we already calculated. So if I take the square root of 2, that makes it 1.414, which is the standard deviation. So the advantage of using a standard deviation is it considers every value from the center value, and it also represents the original data set, unlike variance, which is why standard deviation is probably the most used measure of variation in statistical analysis. Alright, let's explore this in the Minitab now. So I have a set of data here which I am using for the current project. My project is to reduce the wait time of patients visiting the hospital. So my project Y is a wait time, and I have a set of independent variables or X's. Those are registration form filling time, counter number, types of diseases, doctor name, month, weekday, registration clerk name, attendant name. So I first want to calculate the descriptive statistics we've already seen earlier using this data. So I want to apply those to the project Y, which is wait time here, and I just select wait time from the data. This is what I'm trying to measure. I go to the statistics. So I want to uncheck a few of the values which I do not want to see. So I would like to calculate mean, standard deviation, variance, minimum and maximum value, range, first quartile which is my P25, third quartile which is the P75, median, interquartile range, mode. These are the concepts we've learned. So I click OK. And if I go to the sessions window, I see that all these values that I was looking for is captured right here. I see mean, I see standard deviation, I see the variance, I see the minimum value, I see the maximum value, Q1, median, IQR, range, all these are captured right here. It's quite easy, isn't it? If you want to represent this in a graphical summary, you can go to start, basic stats, click on graphical summary, double click on wait time, just click OK. You get the shape of the distribution as well as the mean, standard deviation, variance, and all the other details that you need. Let's now explore some graphical tools. The first one is a histogram. A histogram is a bar graph-like representation of data that buckets a range of outcomes into columns along the x-axis, and the y-axis represents the number of count or percentage of occurrences in the data for each column and can be used to visualize data distributions. Though it looks like a bar chart, there is a significant difference between a bar chart and a histogram. I will do another exclusive video on histogram later, but let's look at creating a histogram for the data that we have on Minitab. So I go to Start, Basic Stats. So I go to Graph, I go to Histogram, and for now I'm just going to pick up simple histogram, and I pick up my graph variable which is the wait time, and I just click OK. What you see here is the values 0 to 6. So the wait time has been divided into different bins or buckets, and it has taken the count of cycle time which has fallen under each of those buckets, and that is represented on the y-axis in the shape of a bar chart. One of the key uses of this particular chart is it provides you the shape of the distribution. The next tool that I am going to explain is a box plot. A box plot is a graph that gives you a good indication of how the values in the data are spread out. So it's represented in two aspects. One is the box, the other one is a whisker. So let's explore this in Minitab. I go to graph and I click on box plot. First I will show you a simple box plot. Select the wait time and I click OK. So what you see is a box plot, and this area is known as a box, and these two lines from the box are the whiskers. This particular point is the percentile 25, which is the 25th percentile, and this is P75, the 75th percentile. So if you remember our interquartile range calculation, which is P75 minus P25, that's exactly what you see as a box in this case, and the remaining 25% after P75 and before P25 is represented as a whisker. So let me just try and change this data a little bit. So instead of wait time 2.03, I'm just going to add 13.5, and if I run this box plot once again, so I click on the edit last dialog and I just refresh the wait time data and I click OK. The shape of the box plot is completely changed, and there is something new that is appearing right now on the data. So this is the outlier, this is the value that I've inputted now, which is 13.5. Now let's look at another scenario. What we've seen is a simple box plot. Now I want to add a variable to this particular analysis. So I want to look at how attendant is performing against the wait time. So there are two attendants here, Rachel and Tom. I want to look at how their variation is different from each other. So I go to graph, I pick up box plot. This time I'm going to look at with groups. So I'm selecting with groups, and in the graph variable, first one, I go for the wait time, and in the categorical variables I select attendant and I click OK. Now if you see, there are two box plots created, one for Rachel and one for Tom. So these are two different attendants and we are looking at their performance. And if you compare the boxes of Rachel and Tom, these are pretty much similar, and the whisker is also almost the same. The average time, the average wait time of Rachel is somewhere about 2 hours, and Tom is also somewhere about 2 hours. So the average is also pretty similar. And we have one outlier for Rachel, which is a 13.5 value that I have added in. The next topic that I am going to discuss is a Pareto chart. A Pareto chart is a graph that indicates the frequency of defects as well as their cumulative impact. Pareto chart is also known as the 80-20 rule or 80-20 principle. So I have a set of data here. I have a list of doctors and the number of patients where those patients had to wait for more than 1 hour to meet this doctor. So I'm considering these are the number of defects. So whichever patients waits for more than 1 hour, I'm going to consider those are defects. So I have a count here. So I'm just going to copy this count and I go to Minitab and I'm just going to put these values in the Minitab. So these are the doctor name, these are the doctor names, and this is the count of patients who waited for more than 1 hour. And I'm going to use Pareto chart. So to get to Pareto chart, I go to start, I go to quality tools, I click on Pareto chart, and I want to look at the defects or attributes data, which is the doctor names, and in the frequencies I'm going to look at the count of patients, those who waited for more than 1 hour, and I click OK. Alright, now I have the Pareto chart displayed here. Let's see what this means. So it arranges the doctor's defects count in a descending order first and creates a bar chart. So for example, if you look here, Syed doctor had 50 patients who waited for more than 1 hour, which is close to 20% of the overall count of patients. And then if you look at the next one, which is Satish, had 53 patients, and that is close to 19 to 18% of the total count. And if you look at this particular line, this is nothing but a cumulative percentage of the first two doctors, and you have that dot which is captured here. That particular point is captured here. So Satish and Syed put together is 40%. And if I add Mike and Richard, and it will finally come to somewhere around 70%. So let's consider this is about 80%. So if I apply Pareto principle here, if you take care of the top 20% of the reasons, you can control 80% of the effects. What does that mean? If I focus on 3 doctors first, Syed, Satish and Mike, and try to reduce the wait time to meet these 3 doctors only, I can reduce close to 80% of the total patient's wait time to below 1 hour. This is another website where you can download free templates. So you have a very good Pareto chart templates on this particular website. The name of this website is vertex42.com. So you have a Pareto template which is free to download and use it for your business purposes. The next in the list is a scatter plot. A scatter plot is a chart type that is normally used to observe and visually display the relationship between two variables. And both the variable should be continuous in nature. So let's look at an example from the data that I have. So on this data, my project Y is wait time, which is a continuous data. If you want to know the data types, you can visit my video which I already posted about the different types of data, and you can get the link from the description below. And the X that I'm going to compare is the registration form filling time. Now my objective is to compare what is the effect of registration form filling time towards wait time. So if I create a simple chart based on this is my y-axis and this is my x-axis, and on the y-axis I'm going to put wait time, and on the x-axis I'm going to put registration fill time. And if I pick up each of these registration form filling time and I look at the wait time against each of these values, we can start plotting these values something like this. Okay, and if I put 2 lines here, you see these points are moving in one specific direction from the bottom to the top. So this relationship between the registration form filling time and the wait time is a positive correlation. And on the other side, if my plot looked something like this, where my values are falling from the top left to the bottom right, then this basically represents a negative correlation. Or if my data plotted without any specific direction, it's scattered everywhere, then I can say there is no correlation between registration form filling time and the wait time. I will definitely do an exclusive video on correlation and regression later, but for now, understand the correlation between two variables is either positive, negative or no correlation, which means your correlation varies from +1, which is the maximum correlation between two variables. Then you have -1, which is the maximum negative correlation between two variables. So it's between -1 to +1, and if there's no correlation, then the value is close to 0. So if I say the correlation between two variables is 0.86, this means we have a strong positive correlation. If my value is negative 0.95, which is close to -1, then I would say there is a negative strong correlation between two variables. For more details, you can wait for my exclusive video on correlation regression later on. Alright, now let's look at how this is created on Minitab. So I go to graph, I go to scatter plot, I click on a simple scatter plot for now, and I press OK. So I have y variable and x variable. Here the y variable is my wait time and the x variable is the registration form filling time, and I click OK. And I see a trend exactly like how I looked at. And if I look at my scatter plot here, it's moving from 0, which is the bottom left, to top right. So I definitely can say my correlation is sort of positive in nature. So this probably looks like this because there is an outlier here. So I'm just going to change that outlier which we did earlier, and I try to run this scatter plot once again, and I click on simple and just select these values once again. I click OK. Yeah, now my scatter plot looks much better. Yeah, now if you see, you can clearly say that there is a strong positive correlation in this scenario. And if you want to know what is that correlation value, then I can also run another simple analysis here. So I go to start, basic starts, I go to correlation, and I just select wait time and registration form filling time in the same window, and I just click OK. You can see there is a positive strong correlation which is close to value 0.96. So we can say there is a strong positive correlation between registration form filling time versus wait time. Just these tools, you can drive lots of simple improvements in your process. You can quickly analyze what's happening with your process. I hope you liked this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button.